I love tactical games, and I thought it would be interesting to go over a few of the ones I've played, rank them on a couple of different factors, as well as just discuss them. Spoiler warning for all of them, I will be talking about South Park, Persona 5 Tactica, and the Mario Plus Rabbids series in a single section, which you will see why later. Now, first up, South Park. This game was my introduction into South Park, so Eric Cartman being an asshole and Cousin Kyle were all new to me when I first played this. I found the story fun, and by the end, I was just along for the ride with how it just kept adding and adding on top of itself. The actual gameplay is very condensed and well put together. Mechanically, this is probably one of my favorites in this video, just because of all the little tricks and details put into it. And then returning for the DLC that I bought after watching a few seasons of the show as well as the movie, this is, to me, a really good encapsulation of South Park, as well as just a very solid video game, if this is the genre you are looking to get into. Now, for Mario plus Rabbids. The reason why I put these two together is because, for a lot of the instances, you could either say that it was a natural upgrade or downgrade, depending on how you look at it, or just a different take on the same thing. Like, for instance, Kingdom Battle had my favorite weapon system out of all three of the games we'll be discussing today. Or four, whatever. But Sparks of Hope gives you a lot more freedom by getting rid of that choice for weaponry. Kingdom Battle also didn't have as much weapon variety and wasn't as good as making every hero feel unique like Sparks of Hope did, while still giving you half of a character's moveset to do whatever you want with. Same thing with the movement. Both you can move a certain amount of distance. One uses squares, other uses cells, so circle versus square. But you can tell in Sparks of Hope they still use squares. And in Mario plus Rabbids, both of them are. Kingdom Battle, you could tell they use a little bit of a circle to figure out how many squares you can move. But both are excellent child-friendly games to exercise your mind with, even though some aren't taxing. But you can still go into some of the extra or hard modes if you want something a little more, like most Mario games tend to give their players nowadays. You never see it come down. You see that my mind is the best for right. You're I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. The art and the music are fantastic as always, but unfortunately, I don't think the game as a whole was that good. It felt like, to me at least, that they just took their RPG and then slapped tactical elements into it. The smoking gun, for me at least, was the fact that personas go through cover without exception. The only thing is enemies that can block. But other than that, yeah, just make sure you're in range. I will say, though, that the melee is one of my favorites between all of these games. The Mario plus Rabbids only being a trip up, and South Park not having one. But this one, I really like how it feels just to send an enemy flying with your melee weapon of whoever you are, whether it be Joker's knife or Ryuji's pipe. And also, the story as well. lot of it, for most of my playtime, I was calling hours in advance. From the moment I saw Toshiro and Arena, I guessed most of what was going to happen with them. And although I didn't really like it, the story did start popping off near the end, where there was a lot of fantastic moments, a lot of solid writing, but for the most part, I saw a lot of it in advance, and it did have the tendency to repeat itself a couple of times. I get that it's trying to explore revolution. That's the entire theme of the game. But in doing so, I found that they ended up just repeating the story, but changing what aspect of revolution they wanted to focus on. Not helping this game is the fact that besides menu navigation for upgrades and the actual battles, there's no in-between stuff. So the game can become very exhausting if you don't get into the story. But it can also become boring due to the fact that it really does feel like they just took the tactical elements that other tactics games have and then just slapped the RPG elements on top instead of weaving them together. And honestly, I feel the same way about the story of they needed to weave things together instead of putting them on top of each other. But now, with the extremely brief overviews over, it's time for the ranking. South Park wins in the categories of mechanics, because of how well thought out and how well put together and how well each interacts with each other, as well as having the best ultimate meter between all three games, as well as the best game assist or baby mode, turning off all QTEs mid-fight to focus more until you're ready to turn it back on and deal with it, along with all the other mechanics of the game. Together, these games have the best weapon and critical hit system, as well as the fact that each character is very separated from one another, especially in Sparks of Hope. I'd also recommend this game for kids if that matters to you. Art and music, that's what Persona wins at. And I also like how their melee is handled. But other than that, I'd just play the other two. Unless you really like Persona, then I'd play this one too. Feeling that there's not that case for the face. After one has the right to go and see the other side. So break down the barricade.